because some people have read every book that they've ever seen on dinosaurs talking about humans and dinosaurs not living together, even some members of the church have come to the conclusion that humans and dinosaurs could not have lived together. Now, when you present the evidence that we just presented, they will then sometimes say, but yeah, what about the idea that no human being could have lived with dinosaurs because dinosaurs would have killed them? Because dinosaurs were so much bigger and they were so massive and they would have ruled the earth. Now, the idea that you get, every dinosaur book that you've ever read, do you ever see any elephants beside the dinosaurs? No, you don't. You ever see any lions beside the dinosaurs? No. Because we are told that dinosaurs once ruled the earth and that all that were there were dinosaurs and they were in control and they ruled the earth. That's not true. Dinosaurs never did rule the earth. Dinosaurs lived on earth along with all of the other land-living creatures like elephants and lions and tigers, and there was never a time when all there were dinosaurs ruling the earth. That just did not happen. Now, like I said, some people would say, well, it's ludicrous to suggest that dinosaurs and humans lived together, that man could not have lived in a world full of dinosaurs. But let's think about that. Have human beings in every situation been able to subdue all the most vicious living creatures ever? Sure, they have. Well, let's take the elephant. Now, the reason I take the elephant is because it's the biggest that we've got that's living now. If we had anything bigger, I would use it, but the elephant's the biggest we've got. A full-grown male African elephant can weigh 22,000 pounds. Now, this creature is massive. It's got tusks. Some of their tusks can weigh 200 to 300 pounds apiece. Long, 6-foot-long ivory tusk. If an elephant wanted to step on you and kill you, could he do that? Certainly. If he wanted to stab you with a 6-foot-long ivory tusk, could he do that and kill you? Absolutely, positively. If you were just looking at the bones of an elephant, just the bones, you'd never seen one, you'd never seen anybody that came in contact with one, you just saw the bones, would you think that this elephant could be a deadly creature? Sure you would. And yet, we ride elephants all the time. People have been taming elephants for thousands of years. We're so good at taming elephants that we can train them to lift their 300-pound trunks up so that we can wash under them. We can train them to stand on very small pieces of wood. Why is that? Why is it that you can go to Barnum and Bailey Circus and you can see a 120-pound girl on top of a 10-ton elephant and she can make that elephant do anything she wants it to do? Well, it's very simple. It's because that at the very beginning, God created humans in His image and He endowed them with the ability to subdue all of the other creatures. Now, this is a killer whale. A killer whale, if you were looking at the bones of a killer whale, you would see a 10-foot-long creature that weighs about 10,000 pounds, that has a mouthful of 30 razor-sharp 3-inch teeth. The killer whale eats 3,000 pounds of mammal meat every single year. It is a vicious killer. In fact, some people say, yeah, well, I mean, sure, show the picture of the elephant because, the elephant's a herbivore, it eats plants, but what about some mean, vicious killers? Okay, the killer whale, a very mean, vicious killer that could easily kill a human. If you just saw the bones of a killer whale, would you volunteer to swim in a swimming pool with that creature? Just seeing the bones. You couldn't pay me enough to swim in a creature like that if I had just seen the bones of a 10-foot-long, 10,000-pound, vicious meat-eating machine. And yet, we're great at training killer whales to do stuff. Now, this was years ago, but I remember this happening back in, I guess I was 10 or 11. I was in San Antonio, and I was seeing Shamu, number 320. From what I understand, they're all named Shamu. So this was Shamu 320 or whatever, and Shamu had pulled up on the little ledge right there, and the trainer was a girl, probably about 110 pounds, and she had a little piece of fish in her hand, and she was getting Shamu to open its mouth, and Shamu opened its mouth, and she stuck her head in the mouth of a killer whale. And that killer whale bit down and... No, of course. Of course the killer whale. I'm just kidding. I didn't see that, but I have seen that trick done, like on YouTube and the internet. 110-pound girl with a piece of fish can teach a, 10-foot-long, 10,000-pound killer whale to open its mouth and put her head inside of the killer whale's mouth and come out to tell about it and not get killed. How is that? Well, there again, you see Ah, this creature. I love this guy right here. This is my favorite animal in the world. He is a vicious killer. He's a killing machine, in fact. He's designed to kill. He has venom in his mouth along with poisonous bacteria, razor-sharp teeth that when he bites something, he injects that venom and that bacteria gets in the bite. He can run as fast as a horse can trot for short distances. He weighs up to, some people say, 300 pounds. He can eat 80% of his own body weight in 15 minutes. Now, you might think that some people around here can do that, but they can't. That would be like a 100-pound man walking into McDonald's ordering 300 quarter-pound cheeseburgers and eating them all in 15 minutes. This guy, you do not want to mess with this guy. In fact, do not try this at home. That's me. Holding on to the neck of a bronze statue of a Komodo dragon. Yes, no, I would not be holding on to the neck of a Komodo dragon. That's definitely a bronze statue. But I did get this close to a Komodo dragon. This is the thickness of the plexiglass that was separating me from the Komodo dragon. Look, we can take a 200, 300-pound lizard and we can put it in plexiglass and we can let my 4-year-old son Reed walk right up to it within half of an inch and watch it as its little flickery tongue comes and touches that glass. And how is that? Well, I'll tell you how that is. If you were to go to the very beginning of Genesis and you read when God created humans, what did He do with humans that was different from all the other animals? He said that I am creating you to be the ruler over these animals and you will subdue the other creatures. Not that He was saying that humans were anything like the animals, but He was saying you will subdue them and have dominion over them. Now, we hear about all the big dinosaurs because they're the most fun to talk about. You know what the average size of a dinosaur was? Rhinoceros. Average size of a dinosaur was the size of a rhinoceros. Some dinosaurs were the size of chickens. And when you start looking at the word dinosaur, it means fearfully great or terribly great lizard. If some of the dinosaurs were the size of chickens and we've got a Komodo dragon that weighs 200 to 300 pounds that was 10 feet long, wouldn't we probably call that, if we just dug up the bones, a terribly great dinosaur? So if you were just to say, why don't dinosaurs still live? Why don't we see them? Well, we still certainly do see some terribly great or fearfully great lizards. And some of them much bigger than the dinosaurs that were called dinosaurs. For instance, how many of you have seen Jurassic Park 1? Seen Jurassic Park number 1? Yeah. Do you remember that really fast running dinosaur that all of the guys in Jurassic Park 1 were so afraid of? You remember what it was? Velociraptor? Yeah. You know how big the real Velociraptor is? If we had a real Velociraptor right here today, standing on the table, he would be about this tall from the table. They blew him up 300%. Not 300 times. There again. 300% what it was. Why? Well, I mean, you run around with a 12-gauge shotgun in the middle of a jungle and you got a little creature that's 3 feet tall and you're going to do pretty well. You blow him up to about 6.5 feet and you give him a claw that was about 5 times bigger than his real claw and the movie gets a little more scary, doesn't it? So lots of times you're going to get information that's just not right. And sometimes it's intentionally not right, just to beef things up, to make things more exciting. Now, I say all that to say, what's the largest creature that's ever lived? Ever. Blue whale. Bigger than any dinosaur anybody's ever seen. Blue whale has a heart the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. An adult male can crawl through the aorta of a blue whale. 50 grown adults can stand on the tongue of a blue whale at one time. It's the biggest creature that's ever lived. They can weigh up to 198 tons. Bigger than anything anybody's ever seen. The next closest dinosaur gets to about 126 tons or so. This outweighs the biggest dinosaur estimation by about 80 tons. Now, we got so good at hunting these things, we could go out with pretty much a piece of wood and a barbed piece of metal hooked to a rope in a boat that was made out of wood before we had any type of gunpowder, any type of projection device, anything, and we could throw a harpoon into a blue whale so well that they had to outlaw the practice because we were getting so good at it, we were pulling back 40-ton blue whales in boats and using their blubber to light lamps and selling their meat and things like that. And they finally had to say, look, we're too good at it, you got to stop. We're going to kill the blue whales. You mean to tell me we almost drove to extinction the blue whale with a harpoon? 10 or 15 or 20 guys could go out on a wooden boat and harpoon these things so well that we had to